Hello. I would like to thank you for your kind introduction, and I would like to thank the organizing committee. Today, we will be talking about internet addiction, and is internet addiction a clinical diagnosis? This is my outline. I will be doing an interaction. I will be talking about its addictive features and diagnosis. Well, the probability of addiction in internet actually was interesting for the scientists, because internet has lots of advantages. It provides communication, it provides information transfer, and it actually makes us learn lots of things. And especially for the last few years, its prevalence has been increased. But the concern of scientists actually start in 1996, and the first one that is concerned is Kimberly Young. She says that it's beneficial, but it has some features that might negatively affect the way of life. And actually it's similar with other addiction, but it's actually very similar to gambling. And actually she modified criteria for gambling. And then Goldberg defined the internet addiction disorder, and he says that there's a decrease of important social or occupational activities. And then most of the scientists actually claim that it's an addiction because it's a chemical or behavioral presentation. Addiction is someone's loss of ability to control his or herself over a substance or behavior. This is the definition of the addiction. And after the loss of control, then this behavior is repetitive. And it might be an internet game, or it might be gambling or something else. And the thing is, loss of ability to control that behavior, then it's repetitiveness. And actually these behaviors is like a vicious cycle for that person. And in spite of all these negative effects, actually the repetitive manner is continued, and it's called as behavioral addiction. Well, which behaviors are addictive? If it actually stimulates a short-term reward perception, then it might cause addiction. This has the possibility to cause an addiction. And then we have some harmful effects of that addiction. When we look at behavioral addictions, they have common features with other addictions, like in alcohol addiction. We have a preoccupation, and we have mood changes as an underlying cause of repetitiveness, euphorias. And then in time, the tolerance is developed, and step by step, it's increased. We have withdrawal findings, and we have interpersonal conflicts and relapse. These are the common features with other addiction, and in many studies, it's repetitive. And actually, we have lots of studies about it, and Daly and Griffiths say that then we can divide internet addiction into two. It might be a generalized internet addiction, and these people spend almost all of their waking time online. Their only aim is to be online on the internet, and they spend almost all of their waking time online. And the second one, the specific internet addictions, and the people actually dealing with the content of that game, for example. And they are engaged in just one online activity, such as gambling or gaming. And that person is actually addicted to the content of that game. And what are we actually today? Since 2000s, internet addiction is considered a public health problem in South Korea and Japan. It's been considered as a public health problem because in South Korea and Japan, this internet addiction caused mortality. And actually the deaths were related to cardiopulmonary problems. And actually murders occurred too in South Korea and Japan, and that's why the government claimed it as a public health problem. And in South Korea and Japan, there are internet addiction clinics for treatment purposes. So what is the situation in Turkey? Since 2012, the Green Crescent Association actually has a very good projects. And actually we are organizing an International Internet Addiction Congress, and the last one was organized in 2017. Well, scientific authorities actually claimed internet addiction actually as a disorder, and these are the proposed criteria. And actually we have a consensus on internet addiction. Well, shortly, since 1996, Young and Goldberg started to define internet addiction, and then in 2013 we have the diagnosis of internet gaming disorder. It gained a scientific understanding, and since 2013 the World Health Organization has another actually subject called disorders due to behavioral addictions. One is gaming and the other one is gambling. As you can see here, this is the draft for ICD-11. Actually, it's published recently, and it's a disorder category. Addictional behaviors are a disorder category, and then as a subcategory, the internet addiction is included. At the latest stage, all of the representatives of WHO is trying to form a consensus. But you can actually see this online. And additional behaviors can be divided into two. One is gambling, the other one is gaming. The gaming addiction, gaming disorder can be online or offline. And it has three clinical findings, indications, and I think they are very important. One is loss of ability to control. If a child comes our clinic, and then if I see that the children cannot control, I mean, especially even if the children doesn't want to play, even though he is always playing games. I mean, it's a replicated one, especially in the scientific studies. And the loss of ability is the first indicator. And in brackets it says that loss of ability to control on the gaming behavior. It might be actually the person can be inclined to play that game, and the frequency might be very high, and the intensity of it cannot be controlled by that person. It might be very severe, and it might cover all aspects of the life of that people. The determination cannot be occurred, and the context cannot be controlled, and there's a severe level of loss of control. And the second finding is the increasing priority given to gaming, to the extent that gaming takes the precedence over other life interests and daily activities. Well, it's such a priority that the person doesn't have any other activities in their social life. I mean, if they don't want to spend time with their family or friends because of their gaming addiction, then it's a priority zone. And the third one is although there are negative consequences, there is a continuation of gaming. So what happened? With scientific authorities and gaming industry were divided into two, and the scientific authorities studies gained momentum, and the World Health Organization organized lots of meetings in South Korea, China and Turkey since 2014. And overall, 66 experts from 25 countries participated in these meetings. And the decision actually was based on the available evidence in the scientific literature and on case series. And the experiences from clinical practice was also a starting point for the decision. And there were no potential conflict of interest at that meetings. And this is a study. I think it's important, and I have 3 minutes, okay? Well, I think this study is very important because the WHO included gaming disorder in ICD-11, and they actually had a study, and they said that we have a lot of scientific evidence for gaming disorder. But shortly, as you can see on the left, Van Rougi et al. In 2018 say that there's a weak scientific basis for gaming disorder, and Ramph et al. In 2018, on the contrary, they say that there is a very strong scientific basis for gaming disorder. Well, when we look at the study about the weak scientific basis, the authors come from areas other than clinical sciences or public health. And on the other hand, and on the other study, they are originated predominantly from clinical and public health disciplines such as child psychiatry or family practice, for example. In the weak scientific basis study, their current argument is that the gaming is like a coping mechanism, and actually it's a coping mechanism for depression, and it cannot be claimed as a psychiatric disorder on its own. But in a scientific point of view, actually it was claimed like that for the substance addiction like decades ago. Especially in alcohol dependency and substance dependency, there are lots of counter-arguments. Like decades ago, they said that it cannot be an isolated diagnosis, and it is actually the result of lots of psychiatric disorder, and actually it's the same for gaming disorder. They say that it's not a disorder in its own right, but the studies show that it's a disorder in its own right, and comorbidity is more often the rule than the exception in psychiatry. And it shows that it is a disorder its own right. Well, another counter-argument is that the stigmatization might be on the forefront, but if we do not see the diagnosis on the agenda, actually it causes lack of treatment on that people, and it's a very serious disadvantage for that group of people. And so because of the gaming addiction, there are lots of people affected, so they need treatment, and we need evidence-based approach. This is my last 1 minute, so I'm wrapping it up. Well, in the last 1 minute, I have some studies that are evidence-based. We see that in gaming disorder, they are divided from the control group with significant differences. In terms of comorbidity and in terms of functionality, they are different from their peers. And lastly, I would like to finish with the slide. This is from Dr. Melike. This is from our clinic, and we see that when compared with their peers, they have high actually a reduction of academic performance and disciplinary punishment, and discontinue education in significantly high levels when compared to their peers. Well, I would like to give some examples. This is Esra's thesis, and this is an analysis of parental attitudes in children and adolescents with IGD. And this is from the Green Crescent. It shows that there are similar patterns with substance disorder, substance addiction. So let's wrap it up. We have a clinic, and we have a internet addiction clinic. It's a sub-clinic, and I would like to thank my residents and my colleagues. And the Green Crescent actually supported most of our thesis, most of our studies. And I would like to thank Celal, for example, Caner, for his contribution, and Arzu has contributed for the foundation of our clinic. I would like to thank Bedia, Cansu, and I would like to thank Dr. Mehmet. I would like to thank Dr. Mustafa Erdem, and I would like to thank my whole team. Thank you for your patience.